Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play The More Carrier the Merrier. Yes. Now luckily nothing bad ever happened with letting a moron like me captain a very large boat with a bunch of aircraft on it, so no, nothing in the history of warfare ever tells us anything about that. Thank God they let me command this big-year-old boat here. Gonna take the fight to the enemy here, so we're launching an ISR bird here out there towards Avernus, and we're gonna do some bad stuff to them. So it has been a while since I've played Carrier Command 2, and finally I got around to playing more of it. So let's see how it's going, of course. Alright, we have what looks like a something out there. Swordfish, needlefish, blowfish, Hootie and the Blowfish, I don't know. Alright, we got some seal, walrus. Seal, yep. Got a couple seals out there, looks like. And of course, visibility is absolute garbage, so we can't see anything of much note. There is an airfield down there, which is disconcerting. And that looks like a missile coming for me. Let's evade. And we just lost our ISR bird. Wonderful. See, gonna learn you all how to Navy good in this video, of course. It is a two-shielder, so which means it is guarded by at least one naval asset. So dang it, that leaves us with two albatrosses. Obviously, we do know there is a ship out there. Let's put some torpedoes on one of these razor bills. And yeah, that's all looking pretty good. And let's get this big, ugly ship moving. Set a course for adventure. Let's go to 360. Steer course 360. Yes, sir. Alright, that's good enough. Heading lock on. Let's just head north. We need to get closer, and we need to deal with that sheep. We are approaching Avernus here from the southwest, and what I really should be doing is paying more attention actually to what kind of water I'm sailing into. Notice all that purple water there? Yeah, off to our, port side, not to mention the ginormous waves. Yeah, that might be a problem a little bit later on. Alright, let's launch our torpedo helo. Let's launch the Seahawk and see if we can't find that ship again and blow it out of the water. Okay, we have something on the radar there. And yep, elevator's coming up. Here comes our bird. The elevator was coming up. Our bird is launched. There we go. Alright. You need to attack, please. So I think what I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to drop one torpedo, then I'm going to send that helo north and see if I can attack it, drop the other torpedo from a different direction, kind of do a real tactical pincer movement, because I played Call of Duty and I know all about it. And Alright, here it goes, making its run. Torpedo away. High speed screw, torpedo in the water. Alright, I forgot what it said. It's like, they got like a 60-second delay on those, activation delay when they're airdropped. Okay, the torpedo has gone active. Let's see if it gets this sucker. believe that's it right there. Oh, and it has fired a missile at a razor bill. Okay, so it does have anti-air missiles. Okay, you go evasive, just turn south. Yeah, I don't know. I think the missile missed. It's still flying, but the good news is we got that sucker, so that's one down. Very good. Alright, so I think now we might be able to get another bird up. They are most likely, I'd say, alerted to our presence, so we're going to get one up with air-to-air missiles on it. Have it circle the island. One thing I do need to do is, I think, use my air group, like I said, I was trying to do last time. Use it more efficiently to do like alpha strikes and whatnot, you know, have a bunch of aircraft up in the air and hit multiple enemies at the same time and soften them up. That way, you know, each time I play this, it's not such a long, drawn-out battle over just one single island. And furthermore, remember that I've only taken up to 2 shield islands thus far. We haven't even attempted a 3 shield. So, there's that. One thing I do need to work on is coordinating more, I think, with go codes. Using those more effectively so I can kind of coordinate multiple simultaneous attacks from the air. I think that's what I need to do, is learn to use go codes more effectively and more efficiently. That way we can get more work done more quickly. Alright, well, we got, yep, there's a razor boat and there's an albatross coming out of the hangar there. We are going to want to deal with that. So last time, as I recall, I was talking a little bit about some carrier tactics used in World War II anyway. And this time I want to talk a little bit about what's called the high-speed run-in. And this was developed in the 1930s. And apparently they can't attack anything if it's on the ground with air-to-air missiles. But anyway, we'll give it a shot. So anyway, a technique developed in the 1930s. It was actually first used on the 1st of February 1942 during the Marshalls and Gilbert's Island raids, and it kind of became standard doctrine for aircraft carriers and carrier task forces through 1945. So the idea was that you would attack hostile airfields under the cover of darkness. So how this would work, how a high-speed run-in would work, is the day before a carrier strike, the task group would refuel from an oiler, a support squadron, some 200 to 300 nautical miles away from the target, okay, because obviously you don't want to put your refueling assets and, your replenishment assets anywhere near the combat. So it would refuel about 200 to 300 nautical miles away from the target. The task group would leave the oiler behind and overnight make about an 8 to 10 hour dash at 25 knots toward the target. Let's say it's an island or an airfield or whatever. So it would do this dash in overnight and take position about 70 nautical miles away from the target. And this would be timed so that the strike would be able to launch at dawn and preferably catch the enemy aircraft at the enemy airbase on the ground, while the escorting fighters for the carrier strike would establish temporary air supremacy over the target. And that guy is coming for him. In fact, let's just, turn and engage. What were you shooting at? Oh, dang it, we missed. We might have damaged him. Yeah, but maybe not. Looks like he's coming around on our 6. Anyway, so while the strike launches at dawn and the escorting fighters establish air superiority over the target, the surface forces like battleships, cruisers, and the escorts, right, could temporarily detach from the task group and move to shell the enemy base while under this temporary air cover. So this didn't necessarily always happen, but again, direct firepower from battleships and whatnot tends to put a damper on things, shall we say. And again, this is just very quickly, as if I haven't learned my lesson already, you know, the Albatross is not an air superiority fighter. But luckily, whatever was chasing us has crashed into the ocean, it appears. So anyway, the surface forces could detach and bombard the airfield and do submission while under temporary air cover. And come dusk, the air groups would then be recovered and the task group would retire out of range at high speed under cover of darkness, again heading for a rendezvous with the Oilers. Now, of course, the high-speed run-in was not without its risks, shall we say, because it meant that you are in enemy territory and the task group had to stand fairly close to shore and basically pound the enemy airbase into temporary submission. And of course, with land-based airfields, you don't sink the airfield, the island itself, you know, and in reality, it's fairly simple to quickly repair a land-based airfield, no matter how many bombs you drop on the thing. You may have a bunch of potholes in it, but you can just kind of bulldoze those in, fill them up with dirt and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, but the idea is just to make it temporary, right? To create a big inconvenience for the enemy. And furthermore, at the time, you know, deep in enemy territory, the only real defenses the task group has are its own aircraft, the Combat Air Patrol, and its escorting vessels. So the kind of case in point here is during the raid on Kwajalein on 4 December 1943, Task Force 50, the commander, Rear Admiral Charles Pownall, prematurely withdrew the task force despite multiple reports that undamaged Japanese bombers were still active. And as a consequence, the retreating Task Force 50 was actually subjected to several hours of nighttime torpedo bomber attacks until the moon set the following morning. So, and during that engagement, the USS Lexington CV-16 was actually torpedoed, but thankfully she survived. Yorktown's skipper, Captain Jocko Clark, would later criticize Pownall, saying, "You can't run away from airplanes with ships." Alright, well, things are not going terribly well for us right now. Because as you see, I was not paying attention to what kind of seas I was in, and upon recovering one of the aircraft, it crashed right into a wave on its final approach. Yes, yes indeed. Maybe I need to pay attention to things like, you know, seamanship and ship handling and all that. So, anyway, last thing regarding the high-speed run-in is that by mid-1944, the carrier task force was actually powerful enough to stand offshore and basically just hammer Japanese islands pretty much indefinitely. Individual task groups were regularly detached to preemptively raid targets, furthermore, that were on the flanks of the task force. So we had enough carriers and enough escorting cruisers and battleships to basically make that a reality. Early on in the war, that was not so much the case because the carriers used to operate generally alone or very loosely together, shall we say. If I recall, the raid on Wai and Salamaua was one of the first times, if not the first time, that U.S. carriers actually operated together, in theory, cohesively. But well, let's deal some more with these targets here. And this one is Winchester. So, yeah. Well, we're going to have to bring you home, buddy. And we're going to need to move the carrier closer so that we can not have you crash when you land. Luckily, we did a number on some of those ground forces. We've softened them up quite a bit. And man, we are rolling. Alright, we got some more stuff on radar out there. Okay, I'm going to put you right there, and I'm going to move closer into calmer waters as opposed to dangerous waters. Maintain your altitude. I don't want you to get blasted by ground forces. Well, he's taking some damage, and he also is on half fuel, but we should be able to get into calmer waters before we can set him down. I hope. I'm thinking. Possibly, maybe. And great, we also have air contacts coming in. They're following him back. I led him straight to us. Alright, I see 2 surface contacts out there. Let's turn a bit more towards Avernus and get there a little sooner. Okay, he's on the downwind. He's coming into his base, it looks like. Close to his final. And look, he's even had a missile shot at him. Lovely. Just lovely. Oh, great. We got 3 surface contacts out there. That's lovely too. I really do need to learn about more of the actual technical details and apply more tactics to my torpedoing, so to speak. So I've looked it up, and the speed of the torpedoes is about 42 meters per second. Yeah, great. We lost another albatross. I think we literally only have 1 left now. Brilliant. Brilliant. Yes. Alright, turn the weapons on. So anyway, the torpedoes, I believe, move at around 42 meters per second. And on the radar, when you have the maximum scale set at 10,000 meters, then that means they'll move across one of those rings at about 1 minute at that speed. Yeah, they move about 2,500 meters per minute, or one of those rings. So what you can do, and what I failed to do here, is you can, obviously we have a tool which we can measure the distance to our targets. So what I can do is I can measure that distance, then in meters, of course, and then divide by 42, and that should give us the approximate number of seconds that I can set the activation delay for. Now, obviously, I'll want to measure slightly before the target, so, you know, the torpedo actually has time to arm and seek out a target before it, you know, gets too close, or before it passes the target by. But alas, like I said, I don't really do that here, because I haven't really figured it out. These torpedoes have some crazy long range to them. I can't remember what it is. It's like 20,000 meters, or 20 kilometers or something. I don't know. It's some ridiculously long range. We apparently got these torpedoes as leftovers from the Imperial Japanese Navy, so they're essentially long lance torpedoes. Actually, I think the long lance has had an even further range than 20,000 meters, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Again, science fiction people. This one might hit. Boom, okay, there we go, 1 target. And is that other one going to hit? Over there. We can't see it, it's obscured. Yep, there we go. It's obscured by way, but I saw the explosion. That is a swordfish. It's going to require 1 more. Okay, well, luckily we got another torpedo headed for it, and that torpedo that's gone active, I'm thinking it might be fooled. Yeah, it looks like it's being spoofed by the seeker. Right, dang it, he shot a decoy just as the torpedo went active. Yeah, and it's curving around. Darn it. Well, he knows he's been hit. Yep, and yeah, both torpedoes have been spoofed. That's the frustrating thing. Like I said, need to get a little bit better. Torpedo later, this one might hit. Got another torpedo out there, can't tell. Yeah, we got that swordfish. Okay. But yeah, like I said, go to your captain's seat, go to the Capitan seat, measure the distance, and divide by 42, and that will give you the approximate time delay you need, the activation delay you need to set for the torpedoes, maybe minus a handful of seconds. Well, I fired one more torpedo at this measly little needlefish, and he decoyed it, so in lieu of that, I don't want to waste any more torpedoes, and me just failing miserably at torpedo skills, I've opted for a cruise missile. I doubt it will work. The bloody missiles in this game move slower than a runny nose, or a stuffy nose, or snails, or turtles, or sea anemones, or other stuff that moves slow. My grandma moves faster. My late grandma moves faster than these missiles. Of course, it's hard to keep it on target. Can't see it because it keeps being obscured by the waves. And here it comes. And yeah, it missed. Well, that torpedo went active a little bit too late, so it's bypassed it. And we got something coming towards us now. Sounds like a torpedo. I believe it is. Drop a countermeasure, please. Countermeasures. Prepare to launch a full spread. We have no room to maneuver in these canyons, Captain. The countermeasure doesn't shut up. I'm, of course, quoting the great and glorious Captain Marco Aurelius, the only Soviet submarine skipper with a Scottish accent. Okay, he's not Russian, he's Lithuanian, right? He trained most of their attack boat corps, officer corps, which puts him in a position to select men who are willing to help him. He's trying to defect, okay? Says Jack Ryan. Me, on the other hand, I'm not trying to defect, and I don't think Stanza are either. On the contrary, they must be destroyed. Let's see if we can get this guy with a gun. He is maneuvering, so yeah. Yeah, he's maneuvering pretty evasively. I don't think we're going to be able to hit him. Alright, let's try another missile. Well, he's distracted. Try one of these super tactical karate missiles. Hiya! It's like the crane kick. I practiced karate for a couple of months at the YMCA. I'm like an expert at it. Heck, he's probably got anti-air defenses. He'll probably shoot down the missile. And even at that, even if he doesn't shoot it down, I'm not terribly optimistic about the accuracy of these things. We need our anti-ship missiles, like dedicated, like fire and forget anti-ship missiles. We need harpoons or Neptunes or whatever, right? Just give us an anti-ship missile. Give us a hypersonic, super duper ultra military grade, ultra tactical, stealth, sneaky Navy SEAL missile of death and doom. And yeah, it needs to be hyper, uber, crazy, light speed Sonic, whatever, to Sonic the Hedgehog, I don't know. We need better missiles, and we need anti-ship missiles. We're going to keep going up against naval vessels here. What, is the missile hovering in midair now? Yeah, look at it. Whenever you're ready. Oh my god. See? Oh god, these missiles move so slow. It's so frustrating. It's like going up and down. It's like porpoising up and down. All this for a stupid needlefish. I should just charge at the bloody thing. Ram it! Prepare for ramming speed! Perhaps today is a good day tonight. What is that? Great. I'm being shot at. Yep. Oh yeah. Aircraft. Incoming aircraft from Avernus. The ones I failed to take out. Fire the rapiers and arm the sheaves. Like I told you, I'm like the world's greatest carrier commander, don't you know? The best captain in this man's navy. Hey, the missile actually worked for once. And one more. Fire again. Oh, it's a razor bill. Well, on the good news, we may have actually gotten most of the of Avernus's aircraft, so we shouldn't have too much difficulty taking her now. All right, another aircraft coming in. Oh, look, another. Yep, look at that, another naval vessel to the south. Lovely. Tracking, 74%. Solution, 73. It's getting worse. Whatever. Fire anyway. Hey, I think we got it. Very good. Splash 1, or 2, or 3, or however many, I don't know. Lost track at this point. Well, unfortunately, since we only have one Albatross left, that is going to make things a bit more difficult, and not to mention more time-consuming. I'm debating if I want to do anything about this vessel here. Load a torpedo. Why not? The other way. There we go. I think in reality, based on those rings, yeah, it's just outside the second ring, so I'm thinking it's going to take a little bit over 2 minutes to get there. It's moving north. Alright, well, it keeps dodging these torpedoes and with its noisemakers and whatnot. I think we got something coming for us. Let's drop a noisemaker. Alright, what I'm going to do is head us west to the other side of Avernus. Alright, increase the flank. Might be okay. Alright, now let's turn west. Alright, well, we have pretty minor damage from that strafing run, but we are repairing. Okay, our last glorious survivor is coming up on deck now. That's a good target. Let's just blast it with the 160 mil. I have ordered a whole bunch more 160 millimeters so I can just plaster islands and everything else with plenty of 160 millimeter shells. More gun, please. There we go. That was a pretty good hit. Okay, looks about, yeah, four targets left, it looks like. More gun. I need more gun. Shoot more. Yeah, that was good. That was nice. All right, 2 targets left. Alright, so a recovery and a launch later. Okay, we got 1 target left. Put up a flare so we can actually see. I'm just looking around for any other enemies that I missed. I think he's literally the last one and he's about dead. So, if you would be so kind as to shoot a missile at it. I really want to get some bears or whatever. So, you know, we got the cannons for the ground vehicles, but we have nothing to mount them on. We even got the bullets, the ammunitions for it. Great. I see 2 other naval vessels out there. We got the guns, we just don't have anything to use them on. Phase plasma rifle in 40-watt range. And just what you see, pal. The Uzi 9mm. You know your weapons, buddy. And one of these is ideal for home defense. Now, when I get bored, I just start quoting movies. Bingo, got him. Thank God. Alright, let's take this island now. So we've deployed our virus bots. We backed ourselves up into this little bay here so that there we go, island captured. We have a barge. We have another barge, so hopefully I can make another barge and speed up our logistics a little bit more. So we only have 1. Okay, and here comes the little devil now. You little rascal. Get back to the boat, please. Anyway, so like I said, I really need to learn more about using torpedoes. I think I've gotten the maths down now, so hopefully I can use them more efficiently. I need to rebuild my air group for one thing, and basically work on using go codes more.
Commander, I'm relaying a briefing on the history of Stanza that may assist you to anticipate their tactics. I understand you are already familiar with the enemy, so I will limit this to the salient highlights. In the aftermath of the bloody battles that gave birth to what is colloquially known as the Third Empire on Earth, the defeated Asian Pacific Alliance was dissolved, and its territories rejoined the United Earth Coalition. A small group of holdouts, however, secretly formed the Stanza Organization as an underground terrorist network intended to destabilize the UEC's peace efforts. Interestingly, the name Stanza was a floating acronym, which local chapters created their own titles for, instead of sharing one. Over time, Stanza's ambitions grew, and its violent identity metastasized. It became increasingly modeled around hyper-individualism, an anti-globalist movement, which resembled the original APA's ethos. This led to decentralized leadership cells taking advantage of local community knowledge and operatives familiar with the locales. The disastrous attempted ransom of the Telos colony in 2166, however, caused some internal friction around a lack of coordinated operations. This led to a period of relative public hibernation. However, behind the scenes, Stanza reorganized, developing a structure that both allowed their individualism to bloom, but also forged effective coordination between cells. Instead of a hive with a single queen and many drones, the new Stanza is a hive of many queens, all working together.
Okay. Well, we know roughly what time this game takes place, sometime after 2166, and we know that Stanza is essentially doesn't really mean anything, doesn't stand for anything, and it's a bunch of terrorist cells. Very organized terrorist cells. Okay, lovely. I mean, good to know. Alright, that's going to do it for this one, so I'll see everyone next time. We need to rebuild the air group. Hopefully, someday.